coming out for our amazing double bill. And double bill, of course, being the guests we have tonight. Please welcome one of the stars of Results, Ms. Cobie Smulders.
Hello. Hi. Can I just play here for a little bit?
I don't think it's turned on.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, thank you. Hi.
We'll turn it on. We'll get it turned on while we're up here.
This is dangerous. Hi.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think? Tell me the truth. Hi.
So you're coming off like a mega successful TV show. You might have a role or two in some of the biggest movies ever made. What brings you to films like this one and like Unexpected? Is this more comfortable? Is this where you want to live for a while, or how does that work?
It is. I mean, first of all, jumping ahead, I shot Unexpected here in Chicago, so that was really cool. Chicago's a cool town. Yes, give yourself a round of applause for living in this city. This is weird because whenever I have a microphone, I feel like I'm about to do drunken karaoke, and it gets really weird.
We can arrange for that afterwards.
Oh, right. I like it. Sorry, yes. So, for me, it's like material comes my way, and sometimes it's a big thing, sometimes it's a little thing, and it's really about the story and the characters. And to me, the character of Kat is a really interesting, sort of violent character that I feel like I'd never played anybody who had that much like inner turmoil, and that was displaying it so vividly as she was. And also I think I was a fan of Andrew's for a long time too, and then I heard Guy was attached, and Guy was kind of a big draw for me because I think he's brilliant. And but yeah, I do enjoy these small films. We shot Results in Austin, and I think it was like 18 days, and it was a small crew. We worked every day. It was 110 degrees, and it was just a really intimate, lovely, family-like experience, and I really, really loved that. And I hadn't really I'd been in ensembles, so I kind of would pop into these types of, the size of film before, but never really been there every day, and so I really enjoyed it.
So you were talking about, you were talking about how the character itself was one of the things that drew you with this movie. It's a very staccato film. We lose track of each of the characters kind of in turn over time. Do you, as you're developing your character, did you think about where all the anger in her life comes from, or where she was during that period where she kind of drops out and leaves her job and leaves her life? Is it important to you sort of what happens when she's not on the page, or do you prefer to play from the page?
Yeah, great question. That's kind of what was interesting about this movie. It's like she disappears and you don't know what she's doing, and what we didn't really show is I think that she was attempting somewhat of a normal life, getting a regular job, trying to live a life that's more 9 to 5. The thing that's intriguing about her, and I think it fuels her character so much, is that she's a trainer, she's in the service industry. Her life relies on other people's schedules and other people's personalities and tendencies, and she's sort of, it's a very weird career, I find. It can be very challenging. So I think that sort of fuels her frustrations, especially towards that part where she decides to quit. But yeah, I think that her job career, her job choice is definitely affecting her personality, but I also think she's just very controlling. And I think that her problem also with her job is that, but I've been guilty of this myself, is that people pay this money, some serious money, to come in and train with somebody, and they don't commit to it. I've been guilty of training for something like the Avengers or something, and I spend the first 15 minutes chatting, because I know, well, that means I only have to work out for 45. And so I think that sort of, that bleeds into what she's doing as well. It's just why are you spending this money? Why aren't you committing to to yourself, to your body, to making yourself better? Yeah.
I was lucky enough to talk to the director, Andrew Bujalski, at South by Southwest, and I mean, he was very honest about he doesn't really work with professional mainstream actors in his other films. This is a sort of a change of pace for him.
Yeah.
He usually doesn't make things that are quite this accessible to the
Yeah.
masses. And I said to him, like, I asked him, why now? And he's like, I have a wife and 2 kids,
He
and
needs to feed
I
little
need to
children.
I need some money. Like, I'm not, but not in the sellout kind of. This is definitely not, selling out by any stretch of the imagination. But did you kind of get a sense that he was trying out? You said you were a fan of his, he was trying out something a little. The pace was a little different and the tone was a little different, or did you kind of feel, no, this is kind of like the quirky thing that he did before?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because it's hard to say without being on those other sets. I will say the thing that fascinated me was like one day a guy would show up and he would be doing, he'd be a part of our crew. He'd be like helping out with the cables one day, and he'd be like, oh, he starred in my last film. And you're like, what? Like, why is he, what's happening? Why, is he an actor? No, he's not an actor. We just did this thing. And that was so interesting. And even the editor on our film, she was in Computer Trust. Yeah. So it's like he has, I think what happens with him is he just meets people and is intrigued by them. And I think that might be the difference, is because, I met Andrew because a script came my way and my agent was like, you should meet with Andrew, and then I watched even more of Andrew's stuff and got more excited to meet with him, and I met with him in Los Angeles. And we ran through the scenes a couple times. So I think that's the difference, where like I met him in a very like Hollywood way, and I think the way he's worked before has been like, he's been at coffee with a friend and they told him an interesting story and he's like, we should shoot that. This just seemed a little bit more controlled, maybe.
You've just described Austin film scene in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, nobody has just one job. But yeah, everybody's,
Yeah, right.
And there are actors and directors, and usually it's actor, director, writer, whatever. Yeah,
No, it's so true. I will say, one of the greatest things about shooting this film, and I don't know if anybody here is like a filmmaker looking into doing films, like it was our crew was consisted of interns. Like it was just young, like I would say 20 to 24-year-old students. And the coolest thing for me, I think the biggest takeaway from this project for me was we went to Sundance and we premiered the film. And every single crew member flew themselves to Sundance to see the film, to like go to a couple parties. And these were like, they didn't make any money on the film. Like they were there every day. And I had this experience with this one guy who, I don't know how he picked the short straw, but he like was our craft service guy. Like he was just like, he was there every day at like 6 a.m. and it was already 100 degrees and the guy had like a couple carrots and a hummus. And that's all he had to like feed a crew of like 50 people. And every day I'd go to him, I'm like, how's it going? And he's like, yeah, good. Yeah, fine, it's great. And he just kind of like made it work. And I saw him at Sundance and he was already a few cocktails in because it was like free booze and like free food and it was fantastic. And I'm like, oh my God, you're here, this is so awesome. And he just looks at me, he's like, I deserve this. Like, it was such a moment where he's like, I don't care if I couldn't afford the flight up here. I deserve to be here drinking my free alcohol because I almost died on this film. And it was like, I don't know if it's us and filmmakers or what, but it's like, these films rely so much on people's time and just people's energy, and that was a huge thing for me, and I really enjoyed working every day with those people.
So I think we're here. I think we're the button's on the bottom, but it's turning itself off. I think the mic's low. We're getting a sense for what it's like to work on one of Andrew's films, which is Pack a Sandwich and Hope You Have Frequent Flyer Miles, and look for opportunities for free booze. But what is he like as a director working with actors? Like, what was his process like with you in terms of what he wanted? Was he more hands-off? Was he dictatorial? Did it change from the scenes early in the film, which are very like loose and conversational, versus when it gets much tighter towards the end?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, how many people are familiar with his work before, but I think this is his first scripted film. There was not a lot of improv happening on set, which I sort of thought there was going to be more of going into it. I thought, like, we're just going to wing it and see what happens, and that's what this experience is going to be. I think that he was very hands-off, I will say. Like, he was very much like, let's just roll and see what happens, and then we'll figure it out in the editing room. I think that was a lot of his mentality, is sort of like, let's just shoot it all, and then we'll see what we have at the end of the day. But I think, I'm trying to think with me. I mean, there wasn't much. We would just try different things, try different ways, and I think it's like when you have like Kevin Corrigan, you just like let him roll. I mean, how great is he in that movie? Yes, let's applaud for Kevin, although he's not here. Maybe he'll feel it. We're in New York. Yeah, when I watched the movie for the first time, I was like, when I was in these scenes with Kevin, I was like, I do not know what is going on. What is Kevin doing? And it was so thrilling to see it all together on screen, because it was genius. And I think so with Kevin, I think he was just like, we're just gonna shoot it and we're just gonna let him do it. And with Guy is very method. He's very into the character, and I mean, you saw how in shape he was. He was in the gym, multiple times a day working out, and he was there a couple weeks early, and he was very into, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but Guy used to be like a bodybuilder. Like, he was like in competition in Australia. Like when he's in his early 20s, he was like winning championships based off of his muscles. So he knows this world a little bit more, and he knew it a lot more than I did anyway. So I think his approach was, sorry, that was a long answer. I kind of meandered a little bit. But I think what I'm trying to say is his approach was different for each of us. And for me, it was more like figuring out different levels, and the rest, I think, was he kind of let it be with the guys. Yeah.
When you first got, and by the way, we're going to take questions from you guys. Actually, there's a microphone right here if you want to start lining up.
Step up to the mic.
We'll both ask one more, and then we'll turn it over to you guys. When you first got this script, was there something about Kat that, not so much that you identified with, but that you just sort of said, yeah, I can sort of latch onto that and work with that and build on that? Was there something about her that you thought was particularly fascinating? Maybe it was fascinating because it was totally different than the way your mind works, but what was it about her that you sort of latched onto initially?
I think it was interesting to play with the level of anger that she had. I think in a lot of the other characters I've done, it's always suppressed. It's always like trying to control whatever is going on internally. And this was the first character that I met that would lash out physically and emotionally on people and kind of call people out. And I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
I usually hate it when people ask, particularly women, this question on movies, but it seems so relevant here. You kind of talked about you have a little bit of a slacker aesthetic towards workouts, but between this and Avengers, did you have to work out hugely to get in shape for this movie, or was this pretty average? Also, Steve was telling me that you were pregnant during this shooting this film. Ooh.
Yes, I was.
She's more pregnant in the next film, by the way.
Yes.
But
I was about 5 months pregnant in that film. My baby was very cooperative. I shot the Avengers, the one that's out this weekend too, right before this. So it was sort of like I started working out for that, and then I ramped up. But I really, before I got pregnant, I was really planning on getting really jacked up, and there's only so much you can put your body through when you're creating life with it. So yeah, I think that the main thing for me is, you notice in this film I'm running a lot, and so I did a lot of running. I was running constantly, and I was just really so I wouldn't die on the day, because we shot these scenes in Austin, and it was very, very hot, and it was pretty intense. So yeah, but I did. I think mostly just to get into the trainer mentality, I started doing a lot of private training sessions with some people in LA, and there are some characters there. They're just some funny people. So that's really what I was gonna do, but I also wanted to get in shape. And I mean, look at Guy Pearce. He's, you know, that's what I have to, that's my peer in the movie. So, yeah.
Yes.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a 17-year-old daughter with me who
Hi.
Was blessed enough to get to work with you on Unexpected a little bit here.
Where is she? Hi. Oh, yes, I remember you. You were in our museum scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, you are amazing.
Yes, and somewhere else at the school.
Yeah.
Yes, we had an Unexpected, a lot of really great teens that were in our scene and stuff. Nice to see you again.
Well, she just adores you, and we think you're just fabulous. And
Oh, thank you.
We're honored to have been able to work with you briefly and to see you again today. We're actually, she's just started working professionally about 6 months ago, and she's 17, and we're moving to LA next week to
Oh my gosh.
to try to take a shot at things.
Fantastic.
What advice do you have for someone who's brand new starting out and just wants to give it their all?
Yeah. It's so different now from when I started. You know, I grew up in Canada, and there wasn't as much, you know. Nowadays, I feel like if I was starting out again, I think the way to do it is to start doing your own stuff, to start writing your own things, to shoot a webisode, to get it online, to just create content for yourself, not only to gain experience, but also to have things to showcase. You know, I think that when I was younger, it was all about like, gotta meet an agent. The agent's gonna give me a break. And the cool thing about living in this day of social media, although it terrifies me, is it's so much easier to put yourself out there, to have your voice heard, to hear your stories heard, and I really think it's just about finding the stories you want to tell and putting them out there yourself, and then people will want to listen if you're passionate about it.